the big news is that Eric is coming out non-binary, right, Eric?
Oh, I did not know about this.
That's news to me, but hey, man, you can do that these days. So yeah.
You know what? You might get picked up by one of the majors if you do that, Eric.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Then I'll be covered CBR. I'll finally do an article about
pretty much the biggest selling comic book right now, and you can't even get CBR to write about it. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Sorry about that. I was getting your campaign up here. So yes, Isom 2 is coming, kids. For those who aren't already ready. In fact, I think one of you said just the other night when I was on with you over on Flashcast, one of the cover was it cover C you said has already been sold out?
Well, the cover C, the signature series, yes, that has been sold out. There's that's capped at like rather under 5,000. So if you just want the foil cover of the Shane Davis full cover variant, you can get that. But yes, the slab version of that with the CGC signature
slab
series,
version,
yeah, that's completely sold out. So that'll be for sure the first of the covers that will sell out because again, it was always going to be that limited. But yeah, it's off to an interesting start. Just again, like I said before, I mean, to be already at we're at what, like 20, almost 21,000 books sold. Like I said, that's a third of what we sold in the Isom 1 campaign, and it's only been technically. I look at it, it hasn't even been a week considering the site issues that we had. We were down like 20 hours at one point. So really it'll be the next couple of days when we finally actually cross the week mark. So it's off to a crazy start, man. And it's just a testament to, kind of what you all were going on about, and just the rise of independence and the opportunities that are afforded to us. And also just how possible it is. I know a lot of doomers and gloomers out there that like to think that just what is will always be, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that this project, as well as others that are seeing a level of success, despite not having anything near the resources of the big dogs, it just goes to show it is very well possible. So that to me is to be even more legitimized than before with Isom 1. We are return customers and already be at 12,000 total purchases. This really goes to show that this is for sure real.
Speaking of basically professionalism, or however you want to put it, this trailer you got here, because we watched this the other night. I'm going to show this if that's all right.
Oh, go ahead.
2 of these up. I want to make sure I got the right one up here. Okay. Here we go. We're going to check this trailer out. It looks great. I can't make it bigger here. Oh,
bigger.
Yeah. Won't let me make it any bigger than that.
Should be able to click on like the title.
Yeah, I'll have to restart.
Yeah, you have to restart it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
just do it that way.
Yeah, I hear the dude will copyright strike you.
Yeah, I know. Eric's a jerk about that.
I know.
There we go. Brazen animation though. Yeah, I was asking you who would put this together. It looks great. Good. Because it looks very professional.
This is great.
Time is a fascinating thing. We often like to think of it as something that just is. But too many people let the past determine who they are. When true greatness is determined by how one deals with the present. So if I'm helping you, I have one condition.
Yeah. No more quitting.
Time is a gift, Isom. What are you gonna do with yours?
Isom 2. Go to Rippaverse.com or follow the link in the description, or the link are lovely mods and helpful mods for those who are more manly are showing in the chat.
I gotta say, I don't know about you. I got chills watching that. I mean,
I know. That's what I said the other night, dude. I'm like, I want to watch that.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's you know, Eric, you've successfully launched a comic book company, not just one issue of a comic, but I mean, you're showing the potential for other mediums to break through to animation features, dude. That it blew me away. And I was talking to Cara because I knew her from before you hired her, and I couldn't believe it. I said that came out of nowhere, like you kept it a secret.
Yeah.
You know, I'm blown away. And man, if you did another campaign just to do an animated show, I think everyone would want to see it. Yeah, like I got
Hell
chills.
yeah.
I'm not the only one. It was just like, and just some of the lines in there are just like, just it's great. It's great. So congrats.
I do voices for
Appreciate
cheap, and you're usually even free like a candy bar.
Yeah, that was fun. You know, I had sat on that, and it was difficult for me to like just not say anything about it because obviously I knew we had been working on it, and it was something that, you know, we made all that money from the first one. It's like, what's a cool way to kind of reinvest? You know, those anybody here knows, you know, everybody knows how much the animation costs, man, and it costs. It cost a lot to do it, but it was certainly worth it. It got people enthusiastic about the campaign. But, you know, to Chris's point, that's really what it was. It was like a filler to see what the demand is for that, and to see how many people like were like, dude, you have to do more of those. Like, you know, we want to see that, and that's cool. You know, we'll figure out creative ways to get it monetized, but you know, it's a very doable thing, at least in shorts. I would love to do something longer. This is something that, again, I think that the American market's missing right now. I mean, yes, you have DC doing their animation and all that stuff, but like there doesn't seem to be a big connection between like what manga and anime does. You know, there's one sells the other, right? That's what they do. And I like that relationship, and that's a relationship that we want to build. So if I can get people enthusiastic about the comics with the animation and vice versa, then we want to make sure we take advantage of that. So, you know, we're already working. I'm getting scripts ready. I did write script for that one. And I'm getting scripts ready for a future kind of shorts and stuff that we can do. But, you know, that's the beautiful thing about this company, is that we go where the audience says that they want me to go. So if this is something that they're willing to reach in their pockets and pay for, I want to give them as much of it as I realistically can. So I'm just glad people enjoyed it. And, you know, same thing. My approach with that was the same thing with the book. You know, I didn't want to cut corners, right? I was like, look, everything that we do here is about being competitive. It doesn't matter that we might not have the resources that some of the other big dogs have, but still we want people to see our stuff and it be undeniable. So that's why we invested so much into it, and why it's, you know, it's a good looking, it's just an overall good looking animation. You know what I mean? And that's what we wanted to make sure that it was that we did. So for us, it's about giving customers what it is they want. That's what built the Rippaverse. That's why it's successful. And yeah, I'll go wherever they take it. So if there's a demand with the animation stuff and they want to keep seeing it, I'll keep doing it.
And I think you're following in the heels of, you know, I'm not comparing you to, you know, Beanie and Cecil and you know, those independent cartoons, but there was a generation of people who really felt their creative needs needed to be done independently, and you had. You know, I can't even think of it. My brain's gone. But it was a fantastic era of Clements and all these cartoonists doing their own stuff, and they created IPs that initially maybe didn't make a lot of money, but Rocky and Bullwinkle are now unbelievably well beloved characters, and they did it out of love, and that's what I know what you're doing. It's and all our enemies out there, all they can do is usurp existing IPs. They have not created one new, good, interesting, new, long-lasting IP because they're completely bereft of creativity.
Fantastic point. I mean, it's you know, we're missing that, and that's what the comic book industry needs, especially right now, is that the enthusiasm, right? For me to see people, yes, it's my product, but just even if it wasn't, to see people that are like, you know, legitimately stoked, not like pretending to be like kind of what the comic book movie sensation kind of introduced to social media, where you have people pretending to be excited about stuff, and then you look at like the sales numbers and it's like, y'all didn't go buy these books, you know what I mean? It's not like y'all were actually interested in it. But to see genuine enthusiasm for this medium, is so important and vital if it's going to stand the test of time and continue on into the future. And you think this was something, if these people that supposedly cared so much about this industry, this would be something they can rally behind. It doesn't matter if you liked me. It doesn't matter if you like me at all. That should be completely irrelevant. It's that, hey, we're injecting at least some level of enthusiasm into this market, which is needed. It's necessary. And you think anybody could get behind it.
I think that's the most important part, right, Eric? I mean, this is a brand new character. I've never, ever in my entire lifetime of comic books since maybe Spawn is the last time I can think of where a brand new character like this caught people's attention. And like you said, it was, I mean, look at your campaign. It speaks for itself. I mean, what else can you say?
Did you talk with McFarlane at all?
Well, let's just say, I would actually be revealing something that I don't think I revealed on channel yet. But let's just say we know of each other's existence. Let's just say that. Let's just say.
Are you saying he's going to be working on something possible?
Let's just say that we know.
Oh, we caught Eric on the. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. But speaking of creator or other
work, are going to be putting out the Isom characters.
Oh, I think you hit something there. But speaking of working with other people, I'll get you out of this, Eric. Okay, Chuck Dixon, tell us a little bit about the man. We know him here. He's a good buddy of the channel.
Yeah. So
this is really exciting. Your news.
First of all, I'm a relatively younger guy, so in the '90s, it was Chuck's books that I was reading when I was first introduced to comics, right? So to even be working with him is a dream come true, but also having him around as helping kind of build the universe, and me even shadowing him, kind of learning and picking up on one of the OGs of this industry, one of the most prolific writers of our industry. This means a lot to me as a writer, right? I couldn't have picked a better person. So having Chuck Dixon's Alpha Core on the way, it'll be dropping after Isom 2. He was a hand and glove fit for that team, but he's also working on some other stuff that we've already got him in for that we haven't announced yet. So Chuck is going to be a vital part in, as well as the Saska sisters with their Yaira. They're going to be both a vital part of the growth. And I realized very quickly that you need people like definitely a Chuck around, because, like I said, he gives that level of familiarity, but expertise as well with what it is that we're doing is just so important. So Chuck's Alpha Core is coming in the fall. I've already read the script. I can't wait to announce the actual artist. It's been one of those things where, we've when y'all see the artist, it's going to blow your minds, but also it's almost done. The whole entire book's almost done as far as the artwork, writing. I mean, we were on my stream the other day talking about how he's like 60 pages in on this other project that we haven't even announced. So I'm like, damn, I got to catch up because I'm not even done with Isom 3 yet. So having a workhorse around and an OG is vital to my growth as a writer. It's vital to the growth of the company, but it's just genuinely a dream come true for me because like it was his books that I was growing up on. So I would have never in a million years thought I'd be in this position. And it's actually a crying damn shame that he was even a free agent. It just goes to show how much crap the industry has gone, or rather how the industry has gone to craps, that they would ever allow a guy like that to just be blacklisted, if you will, from the mainstream industry because maybe he doesn't think like them politically.
Well, I think the ability to collect a bunch of disaffected pros is a fantastic opportunity right now.
They make movies about that kind of stuff. But no, like seriously though, does he go around giving you guys shit being like, we used to put out 10 of these books a month. What are you guys doing here? No, just kidding.
Yeah. Now, Chuck's been a wonder actually to work with. I mean, I said,
he's a great dude.
And he's having a blast, and I think that's what it's about. Like, he's actually having fun. And you can, if you guys have watched, the guys that watch my streams with him, you can even just pick that up, even developing something like a fast food chain within the, because it's all about world building.
Right.
This is like therapeutic for writers. This is something that is something that's fun for us and, fulfilling as a creative. So again, having him along as we try to build this thing out is vital and it's important, but it's also awesome. So, but Chuck's a professional through and through. So, you know, he has his expectations, I have mine, and it's still a professional relationship, but having him also as just a kind of on a mentorship, even being able to shadow his work has just been, again, godsend.
Speaking of building, because you are, like you said, you're building a whole universe, a whole bunch of characters that live within that universe. Are you actually going beyond just the typical Bible for this? Are you actually, you know, building up the city maps? And like you said, you're creating fast food restaurants. I'm sure you're creating other kinds of products and other things that live within your world.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like I built my, I have my universe Bible that, the entries, for example, of all the things that appear in the Alpha Core, be it the city of Flores Park. These are all entries that I had. So we have an idea. But yeah, like it's like we're taking this very seriously. I can't say that enough. This isn't like something that was simply some passion project. No, this is something that, for me, and I can't speak for other guys that are fans of comics, but for me, that was the cool part of comics when they actually cared about that type of stuff, right? Like continuity and that aspect of it, where they don't seem to care about that at all anymore. So that's something that we focus on. So, I'm always looking at the building aspect through the lens of 5-10 years. And that can be very difficult because everybody's in it for, not everybody, but you get what it is I'm saying. A lot of creatives have fell victim to this instant gratification thing. And they're writing themselves in corners because of it. And I don't ever want to get in that habit. So I'm always thinking 5 years, 10 years, like where are we going to take the character? Where are we going to take the world, the city that they're existing in, how that's going to impact. It's stuff we have to take into consideration with the stories that we're writing from the get-go. So that's the type of attention to detail that we have there is, okay, what is this city? Like how does this, these groups of characters impact that city? And what like businesses, like, for example, we introduced Projexes, which we're going to we have a lot of plans for that, which is where Isom's or Avery's sister actually works at. Like that's a whole firm in it of itself that's going to have its own kind of branches. And it's important that we flesh that out to have that resonate with the reader. And that's actually fun. Even coming up with like merchandise items, like for Projexes or something would be very cool in universe stuff. So there's a lot to do there. And, this is why having Lasaskas and having Chuck, because we have so much to flesh out. You're at the ground level for this. And we have so much to flesh out. And that's exciting. And it's so fun as a creative to do.
Yeah, I think that's important because it feels like a lot of these, speaking of new creations not taking off like Isom has, it feels like a lot of these new creations are made just simply to make a movie out of. They don't think beyond that. They don't think anything other than this is just another IP driven thing. So the rules and the world and everything are so more just as important as getting that first book out there, obviously building all that stuff. And that's what you've been taking all this time doing and to great success. And I applaud you for it, man. And
thank you.
I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. Now, is there any questions from the panel that we want to get to real quick here? Because otherwise I'm going to get to some of the super chat questions.
Yeah,
one question. Oh, go ahead.
I have some questions. So you did the first stuff on Kickstarter, right? But now you've moved to your own platform.
Oh, no. We've always been on our own platform. We just we took the visual. This was my business, I guess, plan, if you will, or the approach. What crowdfunding introduced to comic books and really other industries is a level of transparency that just doesn't exist. And I thought that was cool. So what I said was, okay, people can see the numbers go up. People can see how much money we've made. They can see how much of each product that's being bought. Why don't we do that while not actually treating it like a crowd fund, because we don't need the crowd to fund it. Like the Isom one, I invested my own, I invested like $300,000 of my own money to just get the bad boy off the ground, or nearly $300,000 of my own money to get it off the ground. So, we were paying for the product. That's why our fulfillment started very quickly. That's why this fulfillment is starting at the end of next month. So we took the visual of it, like that level of transparency, because I think that's going to be the way of the future. I think people are paying more attention to where the dollar's going, and rightfully so. And what that's kind of being, spent on. That's also a fun thing. It's an inspiring thing for other people that are creatives that want to maybe enter into a similar industry, or not even in some cases, because there is some level of a transfer, I guess. So yeah, we just wanted to take that level of transparency that crowdfunding introduced, so we could, people could be a part of that. But everything's already paid for. We already have the physical books. We've had them for about a month. Here we're already pre-packaging, we're bagging, we're boarding, we're doing all that, and that's why our books and all the material is able to go out so quick.
And I think what's good is that it's genuine support as opposed to fake support. So we bought our DC comics and Marvel comics, we did it out of love and interest and the fact that the artwork was great and the writing for the most part was good. I mean, there were bad stretches, but for the most part, I thought, all of us who paid for those comics thought we were supporting the artists, but we really weren't. We were supporting large corporations. And what's good here is that we know we're supporting you. I like the expansion of your universe, including Chuck, who I like. I think he's a great writer. And that in many ways might be providing you greater success than there's sticking with Isom. I mean, I think creating a universe creates a sense of legitimacy for what you're trying to do.
1000%. You're 100% correct. I think that, we have people very excited for Chuck's books, very excited for the Saskas, very in their book with Yaira, very excited for the world in itself to expand. But you bring up a good point. One thing that I did set out to do, of the many things, but a big one, because people that have watched me over the years know that I've had several issues with the comic book industry. It wasn't just a content problem. So it wasn't just the woke issues and all that. It was other content issues that it weren't even related to that. But a lot of it was economic as well. And, Chuck's been, he's talked about this many times publicly, like how, he doesn't have to wait to get paid for his commission with us, right? I pay him when the work gets submitted. He gets his work basically the same day. And it's hitting his account the next. One thing, as you know, and I don't know if anybody here covered the whole hashtag comics broke me thing, where you had all of these comic pros whining about not getting paid, and they're whining about abuse. You'll never hear about a creative on our side not getting paid competitively, and you'll never hear them not getting paid at all, like we're having to wait 30 days or 45 days before they ever even get like the first half of a commission. They don't have to worry about that stuff here. And to me, in that kind of environment, and this also applies to the employees, in that type of environment, these people are able to do their best possible work, right? They're comfortable. They're able to do the best kind of work. And I think our work in itself is sort of reflective of that. And the enthusiasm that someone like Chuck is like, I want to keep writing for the Rippaverse because he knows we're going to make sure that he's getting taken care of, and he can kind of, it's again, fulfilling creatively. So that was a big part of what it is that we wanted to do in the growth of this company, is really address those economic issues.
Yeah, and I mean, I brought this up here because this, I think, speaks to why they're not getting paid. Because James Gunn admitted, along with quite a few other folks, that so few people are reading comic books. Now, I wish they'd actually address why, because if somebody would have brought up like your book or some of the other CG books and stuff that are out there, maybe that would be a little bit different conversation being had here. But no, at least people are starting to admit it, I guess, that are bigwigs within the industry. So that's a good thing. But now they actually have to fix the problem, which I think you guys are already doing, Eric, which is getting ahead of the game here, really.
Yeah, I mean, when I did my video on this topic of what James was talking about, it's like he doesn't really address the problem, but he's not necessarily incorrect that there are less, definitely comparatively speaking, readers that are reading maybe the DCs and the Marvels. The unit sales have been going down for a while. They tried to mask it for a long time and say that, well, comics have never been better, just lying to themselves, when that just wasn't ever the case. When you can like fuzzy up the numbers, or you can try to take credit for manga, I guess. But when you actually look at it in individual unit sales, less people are buying comics. There's less readers for it. But I don't think it's because there's less of a demand. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think that you have a content problem. People aren't interested. People aren't enthusiastic about it. And then you shun those that are able to get people stoked about it, that's where the kind of the more self-inflicted wound of comic books these days.
I think the key to success is to write comics that nobody wants to read, directed at people with no money.
Yeah.
Yes,
It might just work, Paul.
see, that's my plan. I think it's a great plan.
No,
That's the Marvel DC
you're right,
way. That's
because
for
if
sure.
you look at the comic book sales, it's all like Batman, Spider-Man, Batman, 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 Spider-Man,
Yep.
Spider-Man, Batman. Maybe a Superman thrown in there or something like that, or something special happens. And a lot of those comics, as we were talking about the other night on Yellow Flash's Flashcast, some of those are just people who are just, they haven't taken it off their pull lists and other things
Yep.
like that. And it's people who just buy them just to have the entire collections. But if that's all you've got left buying your stuff, it's a dying industry.
And if you're
And
not
it's sad.
trying to build your tertiary character, if you're not doing a Sabretooth comic, you just don't know the comic book industry.
I'm
you
very
gotta
glad
be
you brought
doing
that up,
it.
actually, because you correctly pointed at something else that cannot be emphasized enough, and that is, the big sellers, they're all Batman, some Spider-Man, stuff like that. And if you go back in history, it was always like that. Batman, Spider-Man were always the top sellers.
Well,
However,
X-Men and a few others, yeah.
However, back in the 80s, tertiary characters sold more than Batman
Absolutely.
and Spider-Man does now.
Yeah, like that. That's comics in general. I mean, I would Comic-Con still has those numbers live. If you want to go back and you can see the unit sales, they're not even close. You can get some of these lower, I don't want to say lower tiered, but lesser known characters, and they're like individual books were doing far better than what some of these books that they're putting all this money behind as far as some of these characters are. It's just a different type of industry, and the industry hasn't adjusted. And I mean, when you have folks that are writing material for an audience that doesn't really exist, and also trying to appeal to people without capital, that's what you get. You get what it is that you have now. So there's going to be folks that are collectors, speculators, all that sort of stuff that are maybe going to get in on it. But think about it. You don't see that level of enthusiasm, which really within mainstream, where people are like, hell yeah, I am so stoked on the next month's installment of this particular issue. That's not a thing anymore. And like I said, the people that
back in my time, I'd go into Silver Snail on Queen Street and I'd get Dean Motter's Mr. X.
Yeah.
Those comics really excited me. Not that I didn't buy the Spider-Mans. I loved them. But you have to have this successful universe of so many different.
The mainstream was so successful. You even had comics like Ninja Turtles and later people like McFarlane who were able to
perfect example
come in, and sell more books than they're doing now, like Andre just said. And it's insane and sad, but that's where they're at. And it's things like Isom, though, that I think are really injecting energy back into comic book.
Yeah, it needs it. It's a necessary thing. And like I said, like for those that are not fond of me, and I think that's where a lot of these weirdos have come from, and I'm okay with that. It's like if you had any level of sense and you just understood how industries work and the whole saying of the whole rising tide lifts all boats, like people should be looking at this and the other actual successes, learning from them and trying to do something with that level of enthusiasm, right? But that's not, unfortunately, how these guys act. They look at it like it's an attack on them, that they're someone that thinks different politically, is seeing a level of success because they think that they own it. Definitely the authoritarian left, like they think they own entertainment industries top to bottom. So now it's like, wait a minute, these guys aren't supposed to be seeing success in our industry. Like, how dare they do that? So they look like, for example, the ones that will write about it, like what they did with Isom 1, like with the Bleeding Asshole, those guys that I call over there Bleeding Cool, they wrote about it, but it was a hit piece, right? It was a hit piece. It was like they had to knock it for, and instead of just looking at it like, wow, these guys came out of nowhere and they injected some enthusiasm in our industry, and our industry needs it. It desperately needs that, because that's what's missing. People being stoked about a project, wanting to talk about it, wanting to theorize, a fandom growing. Like that's what this industry needs it. And they don't look at it like that. They look at it like people not thinking like them, seeing success. That's an attack on them as individuals.
When in the past did an underdog get shit on and the corporates protected? Like we live in an upside down universe.
Well, like I said, I can't wait to see
And
the
you're a
movie
person
about
of
this.
color. I know you probably hate that term, but you know, I'm in Canada, and we have laws against calling people black. It's illegal.
It's crazy.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but it's an amazing
so
story.
When would an underdog, you know, be crapped on and the corporate monolith be protected? Like, it's just insane.
Yeah.
But that's happening elsewhere outside of comics.
Yes.
But it's definitely been like there have been signals along the way to where we were headed. But at least now we have a wonderful independent movement that's changing. You know, is changing everything. You know, it's a different kind of shifting sand. It's shifting the other direction, and that's a good thing.
But my one concern, Eric, and this is nothing to do with you, is that I think we desperately need more Erics coming in, because success does not happen in isolation.
Oh,
I know
100%.
this as a comedian, and when we were doing sketch comedy, yeah, there's a few that rise to the surface like we did, but there were 100 sketch comedy groups. So, you know, we do need people putting out Roger Ramjets and Beanie and Seasons and Bullwinkles and all that again to support Eric. Like, and Eric doesn't have to support them directly, but the independent industry, if it now grows around what Eric has done, that is what is going to make it successful. Because Eric, not as much as I love you and what you're doing, I do not believe you can sustain this on your own. And you might disagree with me, but if we have a lot of independent comics now, coming up to the surface, I think that's only going to help Eric.
Well, I mean, to your point, like if we really believe in this whole concept of a parallel economy, then yes. I mean, that's what's going to be necessary. It's going to be, and I've said this a million times, that I do think that's going to be the way of the future if it trends in this direction. It's not going to be the day of the mega corporation. That might actually be over with. I think more so what's going to happen is you're going to see level of different degrees of success, maybe not, you know, multi-billion-dollar success, but you will see success stories, and they will be smaller. Let's say it'll be more decentralized. To me, I welcome that. I think there's a lot of folks that are protective of the status quo. I'm not one of them. Again, I've been on record even before we saw the success. I was like, look, if the entire industry got upended and I didn't have a spot, okay, I'm okay with that. Like, the level of uncertainty, that doesn't strike fear into me. I'm like, let's do this. I think there's a fundamental problem with how the business runs now. It does need to be upended. And if I didn't have a spot, that's fine. That's certainly fine. What really truly matters is I care about this industry and I want to see it thrive. So there's room, and that's the beautiful thing about it, right? The pie isn't fixed. You know what I mean? I know some socialists would probably disagree with me, but the pie isn't fixed. You know, it just because I'm seeing success doesn't mean I'm getting in your way, right? There's a lot of room for everybody to be great.
Ethan is showing a lot of success.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is what I mean is that, you know, we need the Ethans and the Erics of the. And
I think that's key and you guys I agree with you 110%. And that's where I was getting at too, is we've seen this before, like in this coming out of the 70s into the 80s. Like, I think the reason things like Ninja Turtles and McFarlane was able to get Spawn and other things out there, they had such great success, is that the comic industry was already starting to get a little stale. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, we only had, like Andre was saying, even back then, you were getting to a point where the only comics selling, you know, throw an X-Men in there, were X-Men, Batman, and Spider-Man, and Superman, maybe at the most. You know, those were the mainstream comics. Otherwise, the comics when I was growing up were Spawn, Ninja Turtles, Crow, things that were indies.
Yeah,
they weren't the direct mainstream stuff, and I think that's what we need to see more of. I agree with you guys 100% on that. And unless there was anything more that Chris or
I can anybody else had to endlessly.
I know. Well, we do have some super chats for Eric, and we're going to be losing him pretty soon. So we're going to have to.
I'm down.
Let's get to some super chats here. We got Callum Lyle in the house sending in 5 Australian. Says, if Eric wants someone to design kaiju supervillains, I'm available.
All right.
I don't know how to get your resume into it.
Oh, Tom, just sorry, real quick. I just want to add something real quick to what Paul was saying. He said that success doesn't come in isolation. I think what Paul meant is success does not come in isolation. So that guys,
I like it.
Missed that one.
I like that.
Very
you deserve
disappointed.
this.
But look, I remember back in the 80s, there was a big indie comic movement. You mentioned Mr. X. I bought that. I
Yeah.
bought Love and Rockets and all
Yes.
these cool eight ball and neat stuff, with Peter Baggy. Like, I love that stuff. They were mostly non-superheroes, but there were superhero ones too. And this is a huge opportunity now. Comic books are just god awful. Like,
Flaming
I can't
carrot
remember-
and stuff. Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I went to a comic shop. So what Eric has done is just so remarkable, because he's thought about the process. He's thought about, I'm not just going to make the product. I'm not going to make that. I'm going to build the machine to make it, so I'm not beholden, because
Yes.
there have been problems. And I've used Kickstarter. I've used Indiegogo. I do not like Indiegogo and can't recommend it. I cannot recommend it. I think it's terrible for creators. I think that they censor campaigns they don't like or suppress them. Kickstarter is fine. I've used Kickstarter for 2 campaigns that were successful for different projects of mine, including my recent movie Attack of the Doc. But if there's an opportunity to use your platform for other creators, which would be vetted by you, you may want to consider it, because it's huge. So this has happened before in the past. There have been big movements, and I see Eric being at the forefront. And what is truly disgusting to me is the fact that the mainstream comic press is not paying attention to this. This is significant. This is truly significant.
I think they're scared, Chris. If they pay attention to it, it's going to draw attention to it.
Well, F them, and Eric
of
doesn't
course,
need
fuck
them.
them.
Eric doesn't need them. So
Yeah.
I think it's exciting, and I also think it's an inspiration. Also, I have bought comics. I pretty much I always consider it's just a pre-order. I bought comics on Kickstarter for years. I've contributed to indie movies as well. Like, this is when Eric built this whole machine. My jaw dropped, and also having received that first issue in the mail. And I don't know if you've done it yet. We talked in Dallas about it, Eric. You need to patent your box.
Oh, my box. Yeah.
It's flawless. You receive a perfect comic book.
If you haven't been doing it already, there you go.
That's not
Yeah.
true. But when I bought comics in other places, you don't get them in a perfect box. It's so just kudos. I'm ecstatic that it's successful, and I hope this outdoes the first campaign. So
you actually bring up a very important question, or reminded me of a very important question I wanted to ask Eric. The first book. So for those who may have, or just be catching up with this, because you may be new to some of our audience here. I know most of them seem to know you out there, but just in case somebody is just coming to the table with this, are you able to pick up the first book with this campaign, or is it still available? Or
that's a great question. So there's 2 ways you can get it. If you do go to the store, the actual store, it still is there. But the campaign 2, for you guys that didn't get in on campaign number 1, if you're actually on this campaign page, there's a bundle that's called the catch-up bundle, and you'll be able to get Isom 1 as well as Isom 2. So what we do, the way that we're going to do it going into the future as well, is that so we have a mass print cover. So cover C, which is this cover C, will never go out of print. So if you can get it aftermarket if that's your thing, but if you want it brand new, then you can get it directly from us always. And I would argue, most of our titles, this is how we're going to do it. We can reprint, we'll call it our mass print cover. There will be limited ones for our comic book guys. But if you want the mass print cover, you can get this now. And 2 has a mass print cover as well that we haven't actually shown yet. Once we hit 25,000 total books sold, we'll launch that. We'll let you get that. But there'll always be one that you can get new from us. So yeah, and to Chris's point, when he talked about the machine and the stuff, that was also a big thing that we wanted to do with the Rippaverse and us. A lot of people may not know this, but we're one of the few companies that do this volume that distribute our own books. Marvel does not distribute their own books. DC does not distribute their own books. Image does not distribute their own books. None of those, IDW, none of these guys distribute their own books. Nice. We are our own distributor. I'm out of the shout out. I got the sign bad boy too. Hell yeah. Shout out. But so we distribute our own books. It allows us to give a more unique experience. So from that to the website in itself, we keep as much as we can in-house. So yeah, that also prevents us from some idiot doing some, whether it be a website shadow banning us or banning us altogether. There's literally nothing you can really do to stop us. It's like you can't like people get mad at me. You can't go to the distributor. I am the distributor, so you're still gonna get your books no matter what.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.